So, how do you really forgive someone and not hold that grudge against them? I say that secret grudge.
I There was a time in my life where I thought that I was forgiving people by not talking about it anymore, and that was it.
Mm,
And then, in the past, uh, I spoke to a therapist, and I was saying, like, just talking about a lot of the things that I experienced, betrayals I'd experienced, the ways in which I felt wronged me in some sense. And I was saying to that person that like but I did forgive them. She was saying basically that I hadn't forgiven those people, and I said, I have though. She was like, how can you if you've never been taught how to forgive? And I don't think that that's always true. I think that you can learn or, in some sense, understand how to truly forgive people without it being taught outside of you in some sense. Some people may really have that aspect within themselves. I thought that I was forgiving, but really what I was doing was holding on and suppressing the things. And I think that the best way, in my experience now, from what I understand now, the experience of forgiving, it's not necessarily of like, oh, I'm expecting us to be, or my energy or my emotion, or that I would ever look at you and you again. Forgiveness and trust are two different things. I could forgive you, and
right.
I think that helps too in some sense. Me understanding that forgiveness and releasing the emotions of the experience that you may have had with this person, it's not the same thing as saying that I'm going to allow you back into my life, or I'm going to allow you to be, in a sense, allow you into vulnerable spaces with me easily. Forgiveness just means that I accept that who you were in this understanding, you did these things, and I'm letting it go. I'm releasing it from me. I am over it for myself, and I'm not
Hmm.
angry about it anymore. I've acknowledged that. I'm not running away from it. I'm not just, not bringing it up. I've spoken about it, whether it's to the person or whether it's me acknowledging it with myself, because a lot of times when people hurt you or you feel in some way betrayed, I think that we also feel angry or mad at ourselves in some sense. And I think some of that understanding of forgiveness is also about forgiving yourself for allowing, you know. And so just having that conversation with yourself, and again, sometimes with the person, but I mostly have tried to make it about myself, because I never want it to be the understanding of I need it to be this person outside of me, um, giving me this closure in a sense, because that never really works. Especially if in the world that we live in, we don't really have a world of people taking accountability for their actions. So if you are waiting on accountability, you could be waiting a long, long time. And I've had somebody not admit that they've done something to me and say to me, I'm sorry for what you think I've done. You know, and I've had some people try to gaslight me in the understanding of, hey, you didn't see what I was doing, or like this didn't happen that way, or just really completely try to change the truth of what happened in a sense. So in order not to deal with all of that, I think it's really important to kind of like make it about yourself in that sense, forgiving yourself. Yes, you can, it's about forgiving that person or getting past the anger of it. And also having conversations about it out loud, if you can, to the person, but out loud even to yourself, and acknowledging it. Cry it out, be angry about it, whatever the case may be. But don't think that it has to be with this person itself. You can have these conversations to an empty room. You can have this anger to an empty room, and it can give you a similar result to some extent. And I'm not saying that's going to work for everybody. Some people, they really, they want it to be that understanding of that other person, but then they get that moment and then they still feel angry because that person didn't acknowledge it, or they feel like that person didn't feel that pain of everything. And a lot of times it's not that the person didn't. People can be very good at wearing masks. You
Mhm.
want them to be vulnerable and showcase everything, all the hurt that they may feel by you saying certain things to them, but they're not necessarily you, you know? And
Right.
so I really think it can be important to make forgiveness about yourself in that sense, and understanding that a part of you may be hurt or angry with yourself because you did not necessarily protect yourself, or you weren't aware enough, or you feel like you missed something when you could have had, if you had protected yourself better, then that person wouldn't have been allowed in a sense. And it again, people, they wear masks and they can be tricky and sneaky, and so it's not necessarily that that's the case, but that doesn't mean that your ego understanding may not feel that way. Just like
Right.
earlier when you were talking about, feeling that you failed, or some sense, you can feel that way when you feel that somebody's hurt you or betrayed, like you failed yourself because you didn't see it, you know so I
Mhm.
think, if you can, the best way to forgive and move forward is to make it about forgiving yourself. Make it the understanding of, even if it's you going into the mirror and saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't protect you better. I'm sorry, but we see now, we understand now, whatever the case may be. Having those conversations with yourself can really help and assist. They're very important. And yeah, and the other thing is, again, like I said before, make it about the understanding of me releasing these emotions, this anger that I had towards you doesn't mean that I'm about to allow you back into my life. And some people can, the person that may have been wrong in the situation, they may think that, okay, well, you don't forgive me because you're not allowing me back in. But forgiveness is not trust. Forgiveness just means I forgive you,
Right.
and understand that. And
Right.
I that's something that I had to learn too. That it's not about saying I allow you into my space, or you into any understanding of connecting with me. No, I'm just moving forward and letting that go. But that doesn't mean that I didn't see you for what you were. I'm just letting it go and moving forward.
Right. Uh,
You still what you are.
exactly. But I think with me as well is I forgive you, but I do not forget. No,
Yeah.
I do not forget. So sometimes I struggle with that. Like, okay, I forgave you, but again,
Yeah.
as you said, do I
Well, I
trust you?
think
No.
I think it becomes more, whether or not you forget, you're not, it's not really the understanding of forgetting. Like you said, you do not forget. But also at the same time, I think that matters the most if you're planning to have that person be a part of your life, because a lot of times, nobody's perfect, so it's not that you're not going to have
Right.
any experiences with that person that may hurt you, or may make you feel in some way that they didn't show up in a way that you would have liked them to. But with that being the case, it's really just the understanding of, if you want them to be a part of your life, that understanding of forgetting, I think or again, you're not going to forget. It's been done. It's about accepting that that happened, but at the same time, moving past it, acknowledging it for what it is, and letting it go. In a sense, if you can't, in a sense, of course, it's about this person like earning that understanding from you. In a sense, maybe, and this isn't something that they have to do, but if they want to be a part of your life, then they kind of have to. They have to earn the trust or earn that understanding, and if they're willing to, then you have to be honest with yourself about, are you willing to accept that they have done enough, or they've consistently been trying to show up and take that action. And it may take some time, and you may have to have that conversation with them, like, hey, this is not going to just be an easy understanding of, a few weeks ago you did this thing and we're back chummy and friendly and everything. But overall, it could take months, and I can't promise you anything, but it could take years. I can't promise you that I'm going to be over this, but I do want us to try to work past and grow past and continue to be a part of each other's life, And sometimes you also might have to accept too that even when you tried, that it's not going to work out in some sense. I think that It's really about understanding that just because you want this person to be a part of your life after everything, your soul may feel differently, but pertaining to what you've been shown.
Absolutely.
You know, if you really want to,
Mhm.
try, but at the end of the day, if it's not going to work, you know, accept that that's okay. And accept too that maybe it could be that you need space, like true space, where you don't see this person or talk to this person for a long time. And then maybe, you know, months from now or years from now, when you see them, it feels differently. It feels like that thing that happened was insignificant. It feels like nothing, like just a piece of paper that's floating in the wind, you know? But it could take time, like true space and time for that to
Mhm.
happen, you know, where you have separation and you can have all the good moments and the other understandings that were bigger float up and remind you of
Right.
all that they were beyond that one thing.
Mhm. You're right.